If you've got kids that are growing up and want to do something with them, take them out frog gigging. They'll never forget it. It's just something anybody can do. It's a frog gig is like a spear. You're taking a spear with a prong and a spotlight, and you're walking around a pond, and you try to find these bullfrogs that are native to Tennessee, and you're just shining for eyes. Well, there's eyes right there, and you just kind of hold the light on them, sneak around there, and you gig them, and you have a sack, put them in a sack. I say it's simple, but there's an art to it.
We had a good time the other night.
We did.
It was just always a good time to
Yeah.
it. Your son was with
Yeah.
us. He's like, when can we go again?
Oh, he was loving it.
Even the one that got away. I mean, it was fun to do it. So.
We've got a video of it, so we have
Yeah.
proof.
All those kids, you can see the smile on their face. Every one of them had a great time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's on your menu here, right?
Absolutely, yes it is. We sell a lot of frog legs.
And that's unusual for some. You don't see that on many restaurants.
It's amazing how many people look for it, and then they go, "Wow, you got frog legs," and then they're ready to try them. We have a lot of first timers.
Yeah.
And most people that try it for the first time, they're really surprised at how good they really are.
Very good.
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got an awesome show set up for you today. We are at the Campbell Station Country Store in Culleoka, Tennessee, and I'm excited to have Johnny Allred, Bryan White, and John Feuerbacher with us today, and we're going to be talking frog gigging, frog eating, frog cooking, all things frog.
All things frog legs.
Thanks to Johnny for lining this up and taking us frog gigging just a few weeks ago, and we got to experience that. My first time, believe it or not, and my son's first time. It was a great trip. Bryan was with us. We got some frogs. All his boys and his friends, their friends were with us, and
I think everybody gigged a frog. Everybody got to gig one, and some of them gigged a few more.
I didn't know.
Oh, well.
I was running camera.
Summer's not over yet.
You're going to see some footage. Yeah, it's not over yet. Well, I appreciate you guys being here, and I don't want to delay John's time. He's got to get back to the kitchen. So,
That's right.
John, thank you for having us.
Absolutely, our pleasure.
You own this place, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about this Campbell Station, how it came about, how you acquired it.
Well, we have a farm down the road.
Okay.
And we've been coming here for years. Had the opportunity to purchase it about 2.5 years ago.
Awesome.
It's been here since 1890, from what I understand. It started off as a post office and a train stop, and through the years, it's kind of changed over to a general store, farm store. A lot of these roads were just horse trails back then in the day.
Yeah.
And about 19 years ago, it transitioned from a country store with a deli to mostly a restaurant. And ever since then, it just continued to grow.
That's the best steak in the state of Tennessee.
That's what I hear. The best ribeye in the state of Tennessee.
Agreed.
I look forward to sinking my teeth into some of those.
And
one of those.
pretty darn good frog legs.
Yeah. So that's on your menu here, right?
Absolutely, yes, it is. We sell a lot of frog legs.
And that's unusual for some. You don't see that on many restaurants.
It's amazing how many people look for it, and then they go, "Wow, you got frog legs," and then they're ready to try them. We have a lot of first timers.
Yeah.
And most people that try it for the first time, they're really surprised at how good they really are.
Very good.
While we're talking, Johnny, you want to pass those out? We're going to try one on the show while you're here with us.
Absolutely.
Okay. But so tell us a little bit about the recipe here, how you pull this together.
Of course, the frog legs, we bring them in. We batter them with a spice and a flour base. It's double battered, and then we deep fry them, and then of course serve them out with hush puppies. It's real simple
And real good.
I'm digging in right now, as you can hear.
Man.
But wow. And that simple batter, man. It's awesome.
That way you just get the full flavor, and it's
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great.
And as they say, it tastes like chicken, right?
tastes like chicken. In fact, I think you got somebody tonight's going to try it for the first time, don't you?
Tonight, yeah, we're going to get some footage of that here shortly of somebody trying them for the first time.
That'll be interesting.
They're going to love them. They're going to love them. Thanks for frying these up for us and hosting us and having us here.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Great to be here. If somebody wants to come out here and enjoy this, and enjoy a ribeye Fridays and Saturday nights, right?
Fridays and Saturdays from 11 to 8:30. Sunday from 11 to 3.
Okay.
And we cook our full menu on all 3 days.
So, and it's a packed house normally. So
It is. It's at this time of the night where we get a lot of folks getting off work or, coming up and spending the evening. And so we're excited.
yeah. So make sure you prepare, come early and plan to stay late and just enjoy the fair and fellowship.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come hungry.
All right. Well, anything you'd like to share before you?
Absolutely no. Just thank you guys. We
Thank you
really, really appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having us.
No,
Always.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Bye,
you.
John.
Thank you.
All right. Well, awesome. This is fun, Johnny and Brian. I appreciate you joining us today too. It's we had a good time the other night.
We did.
It's always a good time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when all those kids want to go like that. I was telling you guys before we started, I was apologizing because I mentioned it to my boys and they mentioned it to their friends, and I had no idea just that all of a sudden there's 16 people, young, 17 to 19-year-olds in my driveway, and I just kind of got a little bit overwhelmed. I was like,
Hey,
man.
we love having them.
So-
what frog gigging is one of those things. It's not like hunting and bass fishing. You don't have to have a $300 rifle or a $3,000 rifle, and you don't have to have a bass boat. It's just something. You take a $7 frog gig and a flashlight, and any kid can walk down the creek or go to their pond near their house and go out with a sack and have a great night. I mean, what kid doesn't like being out at night with a flashlight anyway? Looking. It's something I think that if we don't get kids back into it, could be a dying art. But I mean, anytime I take one with those kids that night, anytime we take a kid, they're like, "Oh, I'm all over this. Let's go back and do it again." When can we go back? Your son was with us. He's like, "When can we go again?"
Oh, he was loving it, and he was wanting to. He could have stayed another couple hours, but I was getting tired now. I had to drive home.
Yeah.
No, but so somebody that's new to frog gigging, never done it before, just kind of explain. I'll let you both jump in. Explain what it is. What is frog gigging?
Man, I don't feel qualified talking about anything with Johnny sitting next to me.
Anybody.
You were the coach. You were the leader.
It's something anybody can do. It's a frog gig is like a spear. You're taking a spear with a prong spear where they don't come off, and a flashlight or a spotlight, and you walk around a pond or a creek, and you try to find these bullfrogs that are native to Tennessee.
Yep.
And you're just shining for eyes. Well, there's eyes right there, and you just kind of hold the light on them, sneak around there, and you gig them, and you have a sack, put them in a sack. I say it's simple, but there's an art to it. I mean, you kind of have to learn how to do that. You need to practice with that gig and try it a few times, but you can chime in.
You don't just walk up and stick one, man. It really is a feel thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you can't really hesitate once you get within about a foot and a half from them. You can't hesitate. You just have to literally pin them to the ground. And even after that, the battle's not over yet.
Yeah.
I get so hardcore about not losing them that I will keep them pinned in there, and I'll follow the stick all the way to the end until I've got a hold of them. Then I'll,
I mean, there was times that we gigged them, and then we'd pull the pole out, and they jump off the end of the pole, and then you're chasing the frog.
It'll happen, but but what fun to be out at night, especially with your kids and do that. I mean, when we grew up, I'm an old guy now, but when we grew up, everybody I know frog gigged. I mean, I could anybody live down the road from us. If I was going, I'd better call them, go by there and see if they want to go, because they were ready to go, and it's just something everybody did, and I'd really like to see kids out doing that again. Just part of life. Just get out and go frog gigging, just like getting out and going fishing.
What I think's neat, and what I thought about it when my brother and I were really young doing it, we like just seeing what was going on after dark out around a pond and out in nature. You don't know what you're going to walk up on with a flashlight. It was just so cool. It was cool. You see a possum and a bunch of little babies with them, or anything out there.
That's what I said. What kid doesn't like being out at night with a spotlight? Just seeing what they can see and walking down the creek banks. And
exactly.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to run into. And I was surprised at how close you could get to the frog. I mean, you got to get pretty close to gig them.
That
but
light holds them to the bank. I mean, they're blinded by the light, so they don't really see anything.
They don't really know what.
They don't really see anything to that white spot, so they don't see your movement around it. As long as you hold that light, if you move the light, they'll see you and jump. But if you hold the light on them, and you can kind of, if you're quiet, kind of come around. It's not something you can make a lot of noise. You have to be quiet. Those kids learned that night.
Yeah.
Brian finally had to say, "Hey guys, we gotta be quiet.
That's what I was going to say. We had a crew. We had a good crew.
Yeah,
And I enjoyed having
We had a
everybody
football team is what we had.
But we're coming around the pond and we're trying to be quiet, and a bunch of boys having fun, but it is still hunting.
Yep.
It's a sport where you got to be quiet. You got to move a little slower until you get to that frog. You got to go quick.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Elmer Fudd, isn't it?
Yeah, very quiet.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun, and if you've never done it, you need to go try. It's something that everybody's got to do it. And I wish I'd done it earlier in life. So the season's in Tennessee. I wanted to touch on some of that so we know if you plan on going and where to
There
find
is a
this
season
information.
date, so
yeah. So bullfrog season, it's listed under the small game part of our hunting guide, but it's year round. So
yeah,
that is
okay. I was thinking there was a season date during the summer. I guess it's during the summer because that's the only time they're out.
Right, yeah.
In cold weather anyway.
So you can do it year round,
but there are limits. I mean, there's a limit.
But under the closing day here, it says except state lakes. So we'll go down here and read the fine print. There is
Interesting.
Bullfrog season is June 1 through 30 on TWRA managed lakes.
Okay.
So
Wow.
so
So no excuse not to have a place to go. You can go on state property lakes and
state
gig
property,
away during
June 1 through the 30th, and then find your buddy's farm pond or whatever that'll let you go. And
That's right.
Yeah.
and you're good to go. And I didn't know this too, but air guns are permitted.
Yeah.
So if you want to
We
use
did
an air
that
gun,
a lot when we were kids.
Yeah.
BB guns.
But that is permitted, and there's no WMA permit required. So that's cool. And then as far as a license, you just need your hunt fish combo.
Fishing license, yep.
Hunt fish combo is all you need to get started. So it's real easy.
What's the limit? What's the limits on
Your limit 20
20 frogs?
20
Yep.
per person is your bag
20
limit.
per person. So Brian and I could take 40 frogs that night.
Come home with a mess
Yeah.
and have a meal like this.
Yeah.
Now these are farm raised. These frogs we're
these
eating today are farm raised, but
I mean, we get them this size and bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like that's unusual size. That's what they are.
now, I hate to bring it up, but one frog we gigged and it got away, but it was a big one. Remember that on that pond on top of the hill up there in that pasture?
Yeah, we did. We had a
But,
big one.
it happens.
The one that got away.
Yeah. Always.
It's always the one that got away.
It was fun. It was fun. So we talked a little bit about it, but the gear needed. You talked about the gig or the pole, and that's the forked.
Yeah, the spear that you have, and those are Walmart carries them. Most sporting goods stores
Dunham's,
carry them. You can go to Dunham's. Any sporting goods store has an assortment. Usually, there's 2 or 3 different brands of people extendable poles, and some of them even sell with cane poles on them. It's not an expensive hobby. I mean, you could probably for $7 you can probably get a pretty good gig.
Yeah.
and a flashlight or a spotlight for $10 and go to the woods, go to the ponds, take the family.
Yep.
Take a sack. You need a sack to put them in.
Well, I got creative this past summer, and I bought some kind of bigger spears this year, and the only thing, it was a little hard trying to modify them and get them onto that pole. You had to kind of use a drill and different things, but I thought that was fun, trying to just buying a little bit wider of a gig and just kind of getting creative. I've got 3 or 4 different styles.
Ryan's wife made custom sacks for him. As a frog.
It had a decal on the bag. It said Frog Gigger. So, yeah.
Yep, I remember that. That's hilarious. Yeah, that was great. Just you got to have a sack of some sort.
You got to look good, man.
You got to look good too. Yeah.
Not a big requirement on gear. I mean, so it's something simple that people can do. Anybody can afford to go. So
Yeah. Let's see. And we talked a little bit about where to catch them, but the best waters. I mean, we're looking for ponds, right?
yeah, cattle farms work great for some reason. The cattle being around the ponds, I guess they get used to that movement and stuff. But cattle ponds, ponds on cattle farms work good. Ponds back in the woods that are back away from everything are good. But certain times of the year, frogs go to the creeks and you can wade the creeks and do it. You just kind of have to watch that time. I can't really tell you what times that is, but certain times of year they're on the creeks and you can wade the creeks and get a mess.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. We drove by a pond coming in. As I told Todd, he's making us look good over there. I said, now, so that looks like one of the ponds we hit the other night. It was very similar, and it was real green and real muddy and murky, and that's what they like.
People do it in kayaks and boats. They're getting them in.
Oh, really?
They take the kayak and boat around the bank and gig them from a boat or kayak.
You know what?
You can walk the bank.
What I think's interesting every year is like you go to one pond and they're loaded up, and then to go, a mile away and there's nothing's calling, then you don't see.
There's no rhyme or reason why it's different.
Isn't that weird?
And it can be on the same farm. We noticed that night one of them was just loaded down, and you go to the next and there's just not that many on it. So maybe it's cover, maybe it's more insects or something that they feed on. Or something. So it could be anything. But it is strange that some of them would have lots on it and some don't have that many.
Yeah.
Well, I was excited, for Tucker to get his first frog
He had
of the
a good
night.
time.
He had a good time. He was ready to go back.
I've never seen a kid that didn't have a good time doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Touch on something that you're wanting to do in the near future. Talk about the plan you have coming up here in the next summer.
Every state and every agency is worried about R3 projects, and R3 is retention and it's gaining
recruitment.
It's trying to get people back into hunting and fishing. This is a really inexpensive way people can do it. So in next year, we'd kind of like to maybe have take 30 or 40 kids out that have never been frog gigging, just get a group of mentors that will, you take two, I take two, Bryan will take two, and we'll take them to a pond that we know and maybe do it here. Maybe we just base it out of here. We bring them in, feed them frog legs, and then when it gets dark, we take them out and take them frog gigging. And when they come back in, have a little weigh in where we see who's got the heaviest 20 or 10 or whatever it is, and have a prize. But I'd like to have it where every kid gets a gig and a light. And that way, that way when we leave them, they can go again. It's not like leaving them, taking them deer hunting. It's like, well, nobody's taking them anymore. But they can go by themselves, go back to their neighbor's pond and do it. That's a goal that I'd like to do for next summer. So I hope to make that come to fruition.
I think we can make that happen. I think it'd be very cool.
Just like when a kid shoots their first deer or their first turkey, whatever, it's the same, man. When you see them gig their first frog and they come back with that reward on the other end, their face just lights up. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it is. It's just there's no negatives to it to me. I mean, it's something every kid I've ever taken and ever been with loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a great time. It was a great get out there and just explore the woods, So let's talk a little bit about the skinning process. I mean, these frogs that we're eating here tonight, they came skinned. They were prepared for frying.
That is an art. I mean, it is where, when I was younger, we were frog gigging every night. I'd get where I could just skin one in seconds. You're just breaking them over and grabbing it and pulling them off. You're just pulling that skin right off of them, and when you're first doing it, they're slippery and it's kind of hard to do. But after you get the hang of it, you can just pop them and skin them up and then do it really quick. And it's something that happens really. I mean, you can learn to do it really quick.
Yeah. Well, I figured there's probably some kind of board you could put them on and skin them. I don't know. There's
probably is. I mean, probably
there.
A catfish board or something.
Yeah.
You can probably snap them in and make it a little easier. So.
But there's no gutting process. It's just to skin it.
No, you're just getting the legs off of them and skinning those legs out.
I usually just barely clip an area with the scissors where you've kind of got a little something to grab hold of them, and if you're like Johnny said, you get the hang of it, it's just like a banana, you just peel it.
Peels it right
done.
On.
Yeah.
Once you get it started, it comes off really quick, and that skin is really tough, so it's not like it's going to break and you're going to get little pieces. Once you pull it, it'll stay together and it'll come right off.
Yeah.
Well, John was talking about how he prepared these. I mean, a little bit of flour, your favorite seasoning mixed in with that, just a seasoned flour, and he did a water bath, and then back to the flour, and then back to the water, back to the flour. So I mean, it was no egg. There's no egg in this. It's all just the water.
Everybody's got their own little. It's like cooking catfish. Everybody's got their own little seasoning that they like, and some of them like them spicy, some of them don't. So everybody's got a little thing. What he does is it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many I can fix at home and be any better than this.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Well, you take a little hot sauce. You can spice them up, whatever you like,
Yeah. So. I know some people that'll soak them in some kind of Louisiana hot sauce kind of a thing and do a Zatarain's kind of a deal.
Buffalo, whatever.
I've never eaten them I've eaten them all kind of different ways, and I've liked every way that it's been made, so I know people that'll grill them just on a grill and put Lowry's on them with no breading or anything, and I'm sure it's good.
We've eaten them grilled before too, so they're great.
Yeah.
There's something about a fried frog leg though that
Oh heck yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Yeah.
beat.
It is good.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, you mentioned not Johnny, Bryan. You mentioned gigging with your brother.
Yeah.
Who introduced you all to that? How'd y'all get started in it?
Our dad.
Okay.
Yeah. He,
Same with me, my dad.
Yeah, that's we owe our dad a lot. He introduced us to the woods and fishing and the outdoors when we were kids, and I can't remember a summer not going and doing that, you know. And what we used to, one of the things we did gig a little bit when I was young, but we used to catch them in different ways. Sometimes we would catch them with our hands. If you're sneaky enough, you could literally get them with your hands. We'd go
I
to
think that's with all kids. I think they want to see if you get good enough, you can just catch them with your
Yeah.
hands. I think everybody goes through that if they grew up frog gigging.
and we'd go to golf course ponds and all kinds of stuff, and we would gig them, but then we'd tie a little weedless grub or worm on, and a lot of people don't know, but they'll jump on it like a cat. You know, they'll pounce on it,
Catch
and then
a
you
fish.
just set the hook like a bass, and you can catch them that way too. So it depends on what your preference is, whatever you want to do.
Largemouth bullfrog.
Actually, one time my brother and I were fishing at a pond out in Enid, Oklahoma. And our dad was with us, and I was throwing a frog, oddly enough, and we're just running it along the edge there was a lot of moss that went out 10, 15 feet, so I was throwing past it and bringing it in. And just on the edge of the moss, I was trying to catch, I was bass fishing,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that I was running it past a bullfrog, and a bullfrog hit it while I was bass fishing, and I just went, oh, wow, and brought this big frog in, so crazy.
Everybody's got stories with it, you know, and everybody, and I want people to think about that. I mean, that their dad took them out. So if you've got kids that are growing up and want to do something with them, take them out frog gigging. They'll never forget it. I mean, I'm like I say, I'm an old guy, and I still remember my dad
Quit
taking
saying
me
that,
out.
old guy.
I still remember my dad taking us out and frog gigging with us. You know, Keith Seagraves, who you know is a great friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know, I guess we've been ever since we were 5 years old, and we still go.
Yeah.
We still go together. We still, and your kids will remember that. I mean, if you'll take them and take them frog gigging, take them out at night doing that, it's going to get in their mind how fun it is. They'll take their kids, and when they get older, they'll still go with their friends. I think it's something that we need to keep doing. We need to keep people doing it because it's an art that we'll let die if we don't get these kids out there doing it.
Yeah,
Well,
agreed.
yeah, it's just like what we're doing here, reminiscing about that night and talking about it. It's just fun to share the stories and talk about it, and that's what kind of getting lost in hunting these days. You don't have folks sitting around the table or sitting on the front porch.
You can't hunt anything in the summer anyway. You can't, you know, in June you can't hunt anything. June and July and August can't do anything else.
This
but
hot time's a
fish.
good time
and
to
it's
be out
at
there.
night. You're sitting at home. The kids are getting on your nerves. It's like, hey, get up. Let's get outside and do something.
Yeah.
Let's go to the pond.
It's a blast, man.
Turn those screens off and just go for it.
That's right. Get them off
Can't-
these phones and
You
take 'em
can't
outside.
beat it. It's the best.
Well, you were telling us a story before we started the show about the wildlife officer here in the county when you were young, and he was. You said you went frog gigging with him, right?
Yeah,
Or he was,
Harry Masterson. Yeah,
Yeah.
He was. We've been frog gigging with him, and you know, the wildlife officer then, you know, he was happy to go with kids.
Yeah.
That. So, and these are now. I mean, I'm sure the ones in your county, if you wanted to call them and say, hey, we got some kids going, you want to go with us? I'm sure they'd jump at the chance.
Oh
to go.
yeah, they'd love it.
With them. Yeah.
You know, and it's that was early R3 right there. Didn't even really know what you were.
Early R3. Nobody knew that was the start of something there. So.
I think we've kind of just by doing it and taking kids and my kids' friends, we've kind of converted a lot of kids in the Brentwood area. Because I mean, just three nights ago, Jack, my youngest, he said, "Dad, I think me," and he named off a bunch of names. He goes, "I think we're going to go frog gigging a few ponds around here. We've got permission in a couple places." And all of a sudden, I see these kids in the driveway loading up gigs, and I'm like, "Man, that is so cool to see that they obviously loved it, or they wouldn't be going again." You know.
And another thing about that, it's not like deer hunting. If you were to go to this neighbor over and say, you know, I'd like permission to deer hunt your property now, I've got it leased to somebody. These people come in and hunt it every year. You know, I just can't let you do it. I'd like to, but I got it leased to somebody. Frog gigging's not like that. Nobody's got it leased to go frog gigging. And if they've got a pond there, if they're, you know, the cattle's watering around, they might say, hey, just be careful, don't slide in the pond. You know,
Yeah. Don't let my cows out.
There's not many people that would tell you no that I know of if they want to frog gig their pond.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? So
Yep.
I think it's something that most people would say yes to.
Yep.
That's what's great. That's what's great about that. Because I mean, we went to 4 or 5 different properties the other night when
And nobody told us no.
Yeah.
And I just stopped by and asked them, "You care if we gig your pond? I know this pond's up here." You know, a couple of cattle people that had cattle in there. It's like, just shut the gates. And do that with anything. If you're hunting and fishing, you're going on somebody's place.
Yep.
Shut the gates.
Yeah, that's
Treat
part
it
of
like it was your own.
That's right.
Exactly.
Like it was your
And,
own.
you know, and leave it better than it was if you can. You know, you see a piece of trash, pick it up.
Yep.
Close the gates and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it was a good night, and
even the one that got away. I mean, it was fun to do it. So.
We've got a video of it, so we have proof.
And all those kids, you can see the smile on their faces. If you look at some of that footage, you can see the smile on their face. Every one of them had a great time. So,
Oh, yeah.
wow.
well, one thing you said, Brian, that the golf courses. I never thought about that. That's one. You know, you might be able to get permission on some of these golf courses that have these big ponds. And,
Yeah.
And
Not many golf courses here in Culleoka, but
Yeah.
where I grew up.
But yeah, they're in those ponds too, man. You know, actually, my sons have permission to fish on a couple of golf course ponds back in Brentwood.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's kind of how they have access to them. So, and back in Oklahoma, you know, when growing up, nobody cared about what anybody did then, you know. So
yeah.
Yeah, back then nobody cared. Even hunting, nobody cared that you were on their place, you know. But now it's
Times have
you know
changed a little bit.
it's hard. You know, it's the encroachments of the cities just getting out there, and it's harder to find properties. But this is one of those things that you know you could probably get permission to do. It's not something that's going to take a lot of problem to convince.
Another thing I thought of too, just because all of it's a little bit mysterious, their behaviors are a little mysterious. Like I called Johnny a couple summers ago, texted him. I said, "Hey, how come this one pond I've gone to a couple years in a row and it's really been a big producer, all of a sudden I don't hear any calling, I don't see anything but just you know, little dinks all over the pond, and what happened?" And Johnny said, "Well, it could be a blue heron," and I never really ever considered that. And there was a big blue heron on that pond.
It's kind of like turkey. Everything likes frog meat, and everything likes them. Bass like them. Everything does. So I mean, blue herons will eat them, and it's one of those things. It's
Yeah. Well, it's a fun sport. If you've never done it, get out there and do it. Try it out. I'm glad we did. I'm glad we went out.
Take a kid with you.
Yes.
I mean, if you're going, take a couple of neighbors' kids or your kids. Get them out there and let them see what they're missing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know these frog legs are getting cold, so we're going to need to wrap this show up so I can finish my plate.
We're going to need more. So they might as well bring on another.
Yeah, come on. And then that ribeye we talked about earlier in the show, we're going to see what that looks like as well.
It's the best ribeye in Tennessee to say, and I'll have to say it is. I mean, Bryan and I come pretty often and eat these things up here. They're great.
Well, thanks to John Feuerbacher for allowing us to use his store and be here today, try the frog legs and invade his space. If you haven't been to the Campbell Station Restaurant, come check it out. Come on out here and get you a ribeye, try some frog legs, and they got a menu full of stuff.
You can come get a ribeye, but they have frog legs as an appetizer. You can get frog legs as an appetizer and then get a ribeye.
There you go.
afterwards.
There you go.
Best of both worlds.
Yep.
Campbell Station, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 8:30 p.m., and then Sunday, 11 to.
That's in
3 p.m.
Culleoka, Tennessee.
Yep. There you go.
Murray County.
There you go. Guys, thank you.
You too. Always. Thank
you for having us.
Appreciate you making the time, and couldn't do it without y'all.
We've probably got time to gig a few tonight.
Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. Well, this is Tennessee Wildcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep coming back, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.